ours. On this note, I welcome all of you. Feel free, relax as we listen to our resource person. Thank you very much. I don't know whether I'm the only one who cannot hear you, MC.
Sorry, I muted myself.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Honorable Millicent, for the purpose of gathering. We have a very wonderful resource person, so I'd like to invite Honorable Mariama, sorry. Honorable Mariama, please do us the honors of introducing our resource person.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm being heard.
Yes, please, you're being heard.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. So once again, good evening to us all. And tonight, I feel very elated to perform this huge task, which is put on my shoulder by introducing our guest speaker for tonight. This is very difficult, but I will try and then perform this task. And this might be difficult, but she's also a woman. And the fact that she's a woman, gives me that honor to, and moreover, we are in the month of women, which is March. So she's a woman of simplicity and a woman of virtue. And I also feel very privileged to introduce her to everyone present tonight for this workshop. And she's an inspiration to us women and also to the men as well, which I believe, based on her experience that she has acquired for herself. Our guest speaker is in person of Dr. Mrs. Mary Aram Asinyo. I beg your pardon if I got your surname wrongly. Pardon me for that. With a brief bio of our resource person, she is a public health physician, specialist with over 11 years of experience as a senior manager at all levels of Ghana Health Service System. She is currently the Deputy Director of the Institutional Care Division and Quality Lead for Ghana Health Service. Her work involves working with diverse stakeholders in the planning and implementation, monitoring, evaluation, and oversight of healthcare quality programs and strengthening health systems within which quality and safe care can be rendered in all Ghana Health Service healthcare facilities. She is a passionate and internally motivated quality manager with global and national presence. Previously, Dr. Asinyo worked as a medical superintendent in the Ghana Health Service and received several awards in recognition of her grassroots work and transformational leadership, including the Mandela Washington Fellowship Award by President Barack Obama and the United States of American Department of State in 2015, the Young Physician Leaders Award from the Inter-Academy Partnership and the World Academy of Sciences in 2016, and the Women's Leaders in Global Health Award for the Stanford University Center for Global Health Innovations in 2017. Dr. Asinyo is a member of Ghana Health College of Physicians and Surgeons, holds a master's degree in public health from the School of Public Health, University of Ghana, a diploma of advanced studies in healthcare and management from the Swiss Tropical Institute of Public Health in Switzerland, a certificate in public management and leadership from Howard University in Washington, D.C., and other certificates of management and leadership from European School of Management and Technology, Berlin, which is in Germany, and in GIMPA, our own GIMPA, in the Department of Health Administration and Management in Accra, Ghana. She is an early career researcher, loves volunteering in Ghana's prisons, reading, taking photos, shopping, which is more typical of we ladies, and the with the girls and watching cartoon with her family as hobbies. She is a 2020 Health Policy Analysis Fellow awarded by the Alliance of Health Policy and System Research and the Fellow of International Society for Healthcare Quality. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our guest speaker for tonight, Dr. Mary Aram Asinyo. Dr. Mary Asinyo, I'm your audience. Thank you very much, everyone. Madam
Thank you very
MC,
much.
I'm done. So over to our resource person.
Thank you very much, honorable ladies. Good afternoon to you from Ghana. Is it okay if I start, Madam MC?
Yes, please, you can start.
Okay, thank you so very much. Just a minute. Okay, so good afternoon to you, honorable, beautiful ladies and the gentlemen who have joined us on the call. It's a pleasure to join you in this discussion on breaking barriers and shining a light. Very, very interesting topic, I must say. It's an opportunity to be with you, and I very much appreciate it. I want to say that although I have put up a presentation, I want this to be as interactive as possible so that we can learn from each other. As the Women Commissioner was given the welcome, she said that you are coming to learn from me, but I think that it's always a learning journey for all of us. So please feel free for us to interact and exchange our experiences as much as possible. So as I have been rightly introduced, my name is Mary Aram Asinyo, and I work with the Ghana Health Service at national level as Deputy Director of our Institutional Care Division. So this is the outline of my presentation. We will look at what women empowerment is and what burden it presents currently. And if we really want to improve women empowerment, what are the guiding principles? Then I'll talk a little bit about my experience with gender, because one of the things I have come to realize is that our experience with gender at the workplace also depends on how we were brought up and what other experiences we have had in the environment outside the workplace. And I think that becoming more aware about who you are and why you are experiencing gender in a different way actually solves more than 80% of the problem. So I would share my experience with leadership, also the opportunities I have had to lead, the lessons that I have learned, and then my conclusions from the presentation. So when we talk about women empowerment, the United Nations says that it is promoting women's sense of self-worth, their ability to determine their own choices, and their right to influence social change for themselves and others. And we are also aware that the UN Sustainable Development Goal 5 advocates for women's full and effective participation with equal opportunities for leadership at all levels of decision-making in political, economic, and public life. So when we talk about women empowerment, we are really talking about being able to be part of the decision and being able to be part of this decision at all levels of the leadership and not just at the lower levels. So we need to look at it that way. This also means that women empowerment is actually a human rights issue. It is not a favor that people are doing to women if they allow them to take decisions about their life and the life of those who depend on them. And if we are able to do that, then we also see that we have a lot of economic growth or expansion. So there are several studies that have measured what women bring to the table. And we have seen that every 10% increase in diversity actually increases the interest of organizations or profits of organizations by 3.5%. So it is clear that when women benefit, they don't just benefit as women, but they benefit as women, their children benefit, the men around them benefit, communities benefit, families benefit, and overall the nation benefits. So women are actually a pathway to all and not just by themselves. Despite this very important, significant role that we can gain from women participation, the United Nations is still telling us that as much as 49 countries still lack laws that protect women from domestic violence. And as much as 39 of these countries bar equal inheritance rights to daughters and sons. That means that sons are still perceived as more important or more human than daughters, and that is significant. 15 million girls under the age of 18 every year are given into child marriage. And that steals their childhood because all the potentials they would have realized is gone. According to the World Economic Forum, in 2019, the proportion of women in senior management roles globally grew to 29%, which is actually saying grew to, that is a high level, and the highest number that has ever been recorded. In 2020, this percentage has remained the same, and they concluded that it would take as much as 170 years for women to achieve economic parity on a global scale. I think this is very scary. I know that the world has been in existence for so many thousands of years, but then to wait for another 170 years to attain gender parity on a global scale is very heartbreaking. And that is why we need actions by all stakeholders to make sure that we shorten these 170 years. But what we also have to realize is that the gender discrimination is deeply rooted in culture. So if you look at, in Ghana, for instance, if a woman gives birth to a boy child versus a woman gives birth to a girl child, they give them different names. Some are more human than others, you know. So you realize that it is something that is really deeply seated in our minds. And that even requires more effort for us to be able to bridge those gaps. So again, on the global burden, we have as high as 750 million women and girls alive today who were married before 18 years. 1 in 5 women have experienced physical or sexual violence in the last 12 months, and 23.7% representation of women in political offices. Now, if you come to Ghana, it is not any different. If you look at the national level in political leadership representation, women are still less represented. If you come to my organization, which is closer to me and more practical, I have tried to look at the data, and this is how it looks like. Strikingly, we have almost 70% of the health workforce of the Ghana Health Service being women. But when you look at the leadership at all levels, which is heavier at the bottom, you will see that the women are contributing to about 57% of that leadership. However, as we climb higher to national, we just have about 18% of women in leadership position. So what does this mean? It means that it is not that we lack women in the workplace. Increasingly, women are getting interested in organizations and becoming part of the workforce. And I think this picture will not be different from most organizations. You have a lot of women compared to men these days in the organizations. And even the 2021 census reveals that currently in Ghana, we have more women than men. So women are getting into the workspace. But even if they get the opportunity to become part of leadership, they are actually getting those opportunities at lower levels. When it comes to leadership at higher levels, the percentage sharply drops. So it beats my imagination how a group of people who are the least in the organization become the highest when it comes to leadership at the workplace. And so this data, it's something that we have to take very seriously and see that those who are at the lower levels in the leadership positions, what can we do to be able to bring them up to the national level of leadership? Now, if we want to improve women empowerment, the UN provides 7 principles. The first one is the creation of high-level corporate leadership for gender equality. And we see that clearly in my organization where I work. There is no creation of high-level corporate leadership for women. The mindset is that it is men who should be at national level, and that is unfortunate. The second principle is that we should treat all people fairly at work, respecting and supporting non-discrimination against their human rights. But unfortunately, what do you see? If a woman is about to be given an opportunity, you say, oh, it's a woman, she has babies, husband to take care of, she won't be able to travel to the hinterlands, and so many excuses that will be used to treat you unfairly. The third one is that we must ensure that the health, well-being, and safety of all workers, whether male or female, is upheld at the workplace. But unfortunately, what do we see? There's still a lot of discrimination when it comes to males and females in terms of well-being and safety at the workplace. The fourth one says we should promote education, training, and professional development. But when these opportunities come, again, it is given mostly to the men because they see the men as those who would need those professional development to climb up. The women, oh, they might not go far, so it's okay. What they have is enough. The fifth one, implement supply chain marketing practices and enterprise development that empower women. So this is economic empowerment, deliberate empowering women for economic advantage. The sixth one, championing equality through community initiatives and advocacy, because I think we have also recognized that women empowerment, communities have a strong role to play because communities can actually spell out the social boundaries within which we can promote women empowerment. So communities are very important components of the conversation. The seventh one is to measure and report publicly on the progress to create gender equality. So if we don't have measurements, if we are not tracking the proportion of leadership that are women and all that, we won't even know that there's a problem. So measuring and sharing is as important, just as we do for other technical indicators. Now, having given you a background of women empowerment and what we have to do, let me now come to myself as someone who has been through Ghana's health system as a senior manager and what I have experienced in terms of gender and what I think can be done or what I think younger ones coming up can learn from this. So a typical Ghanaian raised in a Christian home, predominantly in Ghana. I'm the first of 3 daughters and a son. And for those of you who are firstborns, you know how firstborns are. We are go-getters. We have to take care of the ones after us. So we take initiatives. We are proactive. We are likely to rub shoulders with people to get things done. And then having a brother who is the last born, doesn't really make you see that gender thing because you're always able to tell him what to do and he does that. So there's no older man, who is giving you instructions. But interestingly, my dad being an army officer gave us equal opportunities. And there was nothing like you are a boy, so go here, you are a girl, sit. And I think he realizing that, look, 3 of his 4 children are women, it would have been to his disadvantage if he really discriminated among the women. So he gave us top equal opportunities, everybody. And my mom was a businesswoman, so an entrepreneur who is a go-getter, doesn't sit down, is always trying to initiate something. So I never felt the gender thing growing up. The world was a small ball in my hands, or let me say under my feet that I could crash, like I'm coming, so confident, I can make it kind of spirit in my mind. I also attended a military school in primary school and was a girls prefect. So again, in the military, there's nothing like boys and girls, it's based on merit. You are given the opportunity if you merit it. From there, I attended a girls' school and was also prefect. So in a girls' school, you don't have boys you are rubbing shoulders with, but you're all girls, you know, and because you are all girls, your teachers are always telling you, oh, you can do it, you can do that, you know, girl power, go get it, and all that. Then you now enter medical school. And then you have boys to deal with. And these are boys who have been told that, look, you are the leader of the team. The girl is supposed to be your deputy. And now you have to be in the same class and let them believe that, hey, you also have what it takes to do it. That is where I started feeling gender. But even that, I did not really feel much gender until I got into leadership. So in medical school, I was, I think, the second in my class to have gotten married. By the time I was writing my final exams, my stomach was really long. By the time I came for graduation, it was extra long. By the time I started my house job, I had my first baby. By the time I finished my first year, I had my second pregnancy. And by the time I was completing my house job, I had 2 kids. And I think that is also important because if you are up early with kids, you have to manage them well. And managing home and work can also be tricky for some people. So I think sometimes you have to look at how you were raised and become more aware about yourself and know that because of how you are raised, you are likely to behave in a certain way. You are likely to perceive the gender in a different way compared to others. Because there are people who don't even think that gender is a discussion. They say, what is gender? Is it important at all? What extra merits does it bring? People don't even know. So what you are feeling, they don't even feel it, you know. So that is how I was raised up. Now, let me talk a little bit also about my professional experience. After I graduated from medical school in 2009, so KNUST, School of Medical Sciences, yes, we had guys we had to compete with for the very first time, having to compete with guys, because in primary school, there was really no competition. Yeah, if I have to say. So I did my first year house job in 37 Military Hospital. I moved to Ho Teaching Hospital for the second year. And then after that, I wanted to go back to Accra. Because in 37, if you have a baby, you get to close at 1 p.m. Unlike the government side where you have to stay on 8 hours or even more, and also do night duties and everything. But I remember very well my regional director who called me to come and see him for a discussion. His name is Dr. Nwete. He is now retired. So after a lot of inspiration from him and encouragement, he asked that I take up a small facility as a medical director of the place. And well, when I got back and I looked at myself, I said, no, I don't think I can do this. I have a baby who is breastfeeding, one who is barely a toddler. I just finished house job. I don't even know how the terrain looks. How can I be a medical director of a staff of more than 2, of a staff of less than 100 for a start? But with a lot of inspiration, I took up the challenge and said, hey, let me see how this will go. And that brings me also to one of the lessons: mentors and male allies. They are very, very important. So whilst I was in the Volta region, I also worked with the Regional Health Directorate as regional focal person for accidents and emergencies for more than 5 years. We went around the hospitals, building emergency teams and training them. I also served on the Regional Quality Committee for more than 5 years. And then finally, I get the opportunity to move to national level as quality lead for the Ghana Health Service as deputy director. At the time I was appointed in 2018, I think I was the youngest director at the Ghana Health Service headquarters. And I believe that if I check, maybe I could still qualify to be the youngest or maybe one of the youngest. So this has been my professional experience. Each of them is a whole lot lengthy story. Now, in all that I have been through as a professional, I have also swept some award, including the Mandela Washington Fellowship Award from President Barack Obama in 2015, Young Physicians Leaders in 2016, and with my women gender advocacy and empowering younger ladies in the community. I love community work. I love going to the secondary schools, the primary schools, just to inspire women, because I think that when they see me, I was very skinny at the time, and say, hey, doctor, they get encouraged that they can also make it. So with those work I did in the grassroots, I got Women Leaders in Global Health Award in 2017. And in 2015, I got a research fellowship award. Now, I have had opportunities to serve as well. And I feel that through these leadership opportunities, I have also been built. I think the whole journey for a woman in leadership, it's a learning process. With every experience, you get to be built up. So from my small health center where I accepted a challenge to manage, I was able to build it to a hospital level that served over 200,000 people. I also volunteered in whole prisons that had more than 500 inmates at the time. Every 2 weeks, I was there to provide them with health services for free for about 3 years. I got all of them registered on the NHI. It's one of the things I'm very proud of, contributing to community and humanity. We helped to establish peer review in the Volta region and support its growth as much as possible, and also establish emergency teams in all hospitals of the Volta region. Now, I have had over a decade experience working in the global health space as well, and that has also given me some strengths and lessons that I have learned along the leadership journey. Now, leading quality for the Ghana Health Service, I see it as a very privileged opportunity to be the person to drive policy and its implementation at all levels of the Ghana Health Services facilities. We develop and deploy protocols, guidelines, job aids for clinical governance. We have also been working in the area of water sanitation and hygiene and infection prevention and control, and also quality improvements through Kaizen and other quality improvements for HIV, TB, and malaria in all 16 regions. I have also been able to serve on the National COVID Response Committee in the outbreak in, I think, set up in 2020 to date. I've been involved in management of NCDs through the Ghana Heart Initiative. In summary, I think I have had the opportunity to implement over 20 projects for quality healthcare in Ghana's health sector, and that I deem as a privilege. Now, having gone through all these, what are some of the lessons that I have learned? So from the way I was raised, I think that there are still a lot of young ladies who really haven't felt gender yet. And so I say that the first lesson is that the gender fight is bigger than you know when you are a student. I think it depends also on the level of leadership you get to. Because even when I felt gender as a medical superintendent, for instance, we go to a meeting and I'm the only female in the room. At the time, I was also the only Ghana Health Service female medical superintendent in the Volta region. So you get to the room and you're so lonely and you talk and people pretend they didn't hear it. But you will see a man who will take the same thing you said, package it in another way, and then throw it back. And the chest says, oh, that is amazing. That's beautiful. It's as if you, the woman, you don't have brains. But the guy has just stolen your idea and wrapped it up in a different way and thrown it back, you know. But even that was manageable. And then at national, you even feel it's the ball. Okay, so that we have to know that, look, prepare for this. There's something called gender. You might either have not felt it or felt a little bit of it. Just prepare for it and be ready to take up whatever challenge comes your way. Don't run away from your challenges. You take it up, you hit it, you crack it, and you move on. Now, when we talk about women empowerment, it must be viewed comprehensively. I don't think women empowerment is only economic, because there are rich women who are not empowered. It's not only education. There are educated women who are not empowered. It's not only social. There are women who, you know, because society says a woman, you have to marry, give birth, children. Yeah, there are women who have all that. They are still not empowered. They still can't take decisions without consulting their husbands. You know, then there are women who have, you know, all other aspects, but they don't have the mental component of the women empowerment, which is more psychological and being tough mentally, you know, to be able to withstand the storms. So if we talk about women empowerment, I think we have to look at the economic, the social, the mental, the education. All those components are very, very important. Now, one of my mentors said something to me recently, I think maybe last year. Yeah. And I never thought, it never occurred to me. But after she said it, I said, yes, she's very right. She said, as a woman, you need to work twice as hard as the men to get recognized. You see, the men don't have to prove anything most of the time. You can have a man in a leadership position who is not performing, but you, a woman, immediately you are not performing. Say, you say women empowerment, we've given you the opportunity, but you are not performing. So women, when you are given the opportunity, you have to work hard, you have to perform, you have to justify the fact that, yes, women can also make it. Very important, because that will give also the, powers to also give other women the opportunity to come on board. The fourth one is that you need mentors, but it's not everybody at all you should accept into your life as a mentor. You have to choose your mentors carefully, because really you can't do it alone. And mentors are people who have used the path you want to use. They have seen the obstacles on the way, they've seen the opportunities, and they can tell you, and you don't have to waste your time learning those lessons. The fifth one is that you have to be aware of sociocultural and traditional forces that influence gender. So gender, women are even one social force by themselves. So there are so many factors you have to be aware of. How you are branded as a woman, in terms of whether you have children or whether you are married, how you are branded traditionally, where you come from, how you look like, how you dress. All those are social constructs that either inhibit or facilitate the inclusion of women. And you have to be aware of them. You don't walk through a forest assuming that there are no snakes. There are snakes. So those things you have to really watch out for them and manage them appropriately. Now, the acceptability of gender, I think one of the things that usually draws us back is the narrative. When we talk about gender, we are not saying pushing the women forward and bringing the men back. Because when the women meet at the top, they need men they can relate to. So it is actually, I usually will see it as equity. It's like giving a chair to the woman to stand on so that she can come to the same level as the man. So we need to be clear on the gender narrative, because that can really push us back and actually increase the 170 years to many more years. Now, the reality also is that as a woman, there are times that your values and your principles are tested. But you need to keep those values and principles, because your personal branding is important as a woman in leadership. These are things that people really don't get the courage to tell us, as we are coming up. And you have to learn them the hard way by yourselves. But take note that if you keep those values and principles, they could be economic values, they could be social values, they could be physical values. At the end of the day, your reward really comes. It could really take a long while, but it really comes. The next one is that social networks, including male allies and a good negotiation with other women, is very important. So you see, sometimes as young women, when we enter a workplace and there are older women in the place, you don't have to attack them. See them as, in our culture, you have to see them as aunties, as mummies. You need to work with them. You need to promote their interests. You need to learn from them. And once you learn from them, you promote their interests, they also promote you. You don't have to fight them. So we need men on the table. I like what the women commissioner said when she gave the welcome, that she has invited the men as well, because we cannot have this conversation without the men. So the men are important, because they somehow allow the space within which the women can operate, but also because you need your equals as women when you get to the top. Very important. We need to manage the other life areas. As a woman, you have a spiritual life, you have family life, you have self-care life. They are all very important. Because look, if you want to do well at the workplace, you must be also doing well as an individual, psychologically. So for instance, if you have children and husband, how you are going to share the time. And don't really aim at a perfect situation, because look, we are human and nobody is perfect. I'm yet to meet a person who has a perfect life in all the spheres of life, So you give your best, but you have to realize that you cannot have it perfect. So if you are not married and society wants to, pull you back because you are not married, that is a no, no, no. You don't allow that. Love comes when it comes. You don't have to push yourself as a young woman growing up. You build yourself and invest in yourself, and the love comes to meet you. For me, I think that is a better focus for women growing up. When you even have marriage, society can still tie you with children. She doesn't have children. That should be the least on your mind. So life gives everybody special packages. You don't have to feel bad for what package you have been given. And then self-care, taking care of yourself as a woman, having enough sleep, in terms of beauty, how you dress, all those really define who you are and can either open opportunities or block them. So you need really to take care of yourself. Now, you have to also realize that on the leadership journey, sometimes you will feel very lonely, but it is okay and it is very normal. You will earn your respect as you go on. So let's say you are in a meeting and there's a discussion and you are the only one on the other side of the debate, because you believe that is the right thing that should be done. And everybody else is on the other side. Politically, you are alone. The loneliness of leadership. But you don't have to give up. It all depends on what your vision is as a leader, as a woman leader. So feeling lonely as a woman leader sometimes is very normal. And it's okay. You don't have to feel bad for that. Now, everything about leadership, including women in leadership, is a process. And you have to be open to learning as much as possible, choosing your battles, what to fight, what not to fight, managing your time very well, thinking win-win, because remember that at the workplace, everybody is there for promotion, everybody is there for progress. So we are not the only ones who come to the workplace and want it to progress. The men also want to progress. So as women leaders, we need to think win-win. We have to be proactive. We need to be generative more than consuming. So we don't sit down waiting for things to happen to us. We go and get things. We think about innovations. Our minds must be entrepreneurial, to bring good things to the fore. And as you do that and you contribute to the system, your market premium is realized. Okay. Now, living just not for yourself, but for God and country. So you must go beyond what is in it for me. What is in it for me in terms of money and all that can easily break you as a leader. It can really terminate your leadership career. Okay, but what is in it actually is the fact that you are serving humanity and you are serving your country and you are serving God. That is, I feel that is a more sustainable type of leadership than what is in it for me, physical and material things. Now, when you look around you, sometimes as a woman leader, you can feel very depressed and down, but there's a lot of inspiration around you. Our mothers' lives alone are so much inspiration. I draw a lot of inspiration from my mom. The fact that, she has been able to raise us, amongst a lot of difficulties is even a lot of inspiration. And how she keeps up her life every day, trying to manage her struggles, and is still alive. It's a lot of inspiration that it is possible. Now, also make a habit from reading the Bible. The Bible has a lot of wisdom for business, for leadership, for your personal life. It has so much wisdom. So make it a habit of reading the Bible. Now, you should always remember that the younger girls are looking up to you. Look, sometimes I feel like giving up. And when I go to the healthcare facilities, I always meet that young woman who says, hey, Dr. Asinyo, we are so proud of you. And when we remember you, we know that, look, it is possible for us to also make it. And that, for me, encourages me a lot, because you begin to realize that your life is beyond you, but there are other younger women who are watching you. So there are younger women who are watching you and admiring you for getting a scholarship and going to China for further studies. And they are aiming to be like you. You cannot give up. You cannot give up. So always keep that in mind, that somebody is watching you. You are a role model to somebody and you cannot give up. And I don't think I have yet come across a challenge that I'm not able to manage. Sometimes it can be so difficult and you think about, how can I really solve this problem? But there always comes a solution. So don't give up. That's the key word. So in conclusion, I would like to say that it is a male-dominated corporate environment that we have, but it is very, very possible to break the barriers as a woman and shine the light in your chosen career pathway. Whether you are in health, you are in industry, you are in private sector, you are in education, you are in research, technology, law, everywhere that you find yourself, you can actually shine a light there as your contribution to humanity. And that is irrespective of where you come from. It doesn't matter whether the village you come from, they still have electricity or not in the 21st century, or whether your parents are politicians or not. Irrespective of your background, you can actually make it. And it doesn't also matter where you are now, where at every point that you wish to start and push yourself up the leadership ladder, you can actually do that. You only need to get started, and the next step soon follows. Now, you also need to keep an eye on the ball. For me, that is one of my biggest mindset. So if I go to a meeting and somebody is about to irritate me, I'm actually happy for the person to irritate me, because I get the opportunity to show my emotional intelligence, so in every bad situation, there's something good you pick out from. Then my eyes are on the ball. I know what I want. And when I look at the ball, for me, the ball is bigger than that somebody trying to irritate me. So it is insignificant. So do not let distractions move your eye away from the ball. It is very, very important. And the ball is the objective and what you want to achieve. Now, men are an important part of the gender conversation. We cannot overemphasize that. Our life is a summary of the environment around you. So you have to make your choices very carefully. That includes the organizations you choose to work with, the environment, the individuals you choose to work with, the individuals you choose to hang around with after school, take a drink, wherever you go, the conversations you are having with people around you, they actually shape your mindset. Because if you are with people who are very negative, you can be as positive as whatever, but if you are not careful, with time, you also begin to be very negative. So you have to make really good choices about the people around you, including your spouse. I have met people who, otherwise would have really made it, but because of marital issues, so it is very, very important for us to choose wisely. Very, very important. You have to be supportive and respectful of each other as women. Now, women at the workplace, most of the time, I don't know whether I should say most of the time or sometimes, I like the air around you as young women, calling each other honorable, smiling, saying thank you, saying please, very diplomatic and friendly. That is a very healthy environment. In other workplaces, there's so much toxicity. People are competing with each other. People are slashing each other's legs. It can be very, very difficult. But if we really want to make it as women, we really have to be respectful of each other mutually and supportive of each other. Because when the women are together, the men cannot break them. That is the secret. When the men want to break the women, they can use a colleague woman to break you. That's their strategy. But if we are together, we will create that environment that is able to support all women at the workplace. So I will end with this quote from Malala. She says that I raise my voice not because I want to shout, but so that those without a voice can be heard. We cannot succeed when half of us are held back. And you see that most of the things we have shared so far are in this quote. We are not just existing for ourselves, but for other people, the population or humanity as general. So we are a pathway for the world, and that's why we have to shine our light. Thank you so very much. I wish to acknowledge the Women's Commission of the National Union of Ghana Students in China, the Ghana Health Service, my family, my mentors, and most importantly, not only those who say positive things to me, but the people I have also come to appreciate are the people who challenge me, because they are the ones who also push me to do better. Thank you also, all of you on the call, and I look forward to hearing your experience as well, as much as possible. Thank you, Madam MC, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. It's too much information, sorry. Okay, so yeah, positive vibes, yes. From this past 30 minutes, like there's been so much. I don't know whether to start from how much I admire her persistency and her experience or what I have learned, but I mean, she didn't let anything stop her. Pregnant in school, housemanship, and you have 2 kids. I mean, it's so much. I am really impressed. I really salute you for how far you have come. Wow. Huawei, I see you, but before I have learned a lot of things, especially about our associations. Those we associate with are very important, be it the women or the men, are mental, especially the men. I should personally say I am blessed to have men who actually push me to go higher, like to do better. And I hope a lot of us do have that. We should really surround ourselves with people who aim to make us better, aim to push us higher, not people who try to bring us down and stuff like that. So thank you so much, Doc, for your time. But before we move on to the open forum, we're actually going to have an open forum. I would like to acknowledge the presence of some people. In fact, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of everyone here. Thank you also so much for coming, chapter presidents, everyone, members. I'm especially grateful for the presence of Honorable Irene Koko, our national president. I'm also grateful for the presence of our national vice, Emmanuel Thompson, Mr. Our general secretary, Mr. Salom, our honorable Seto, our organizer, who has done a massive job getting people here, posting, publicity. Honorable Seto, thank you so much. And thank you also so much. We started with 19 people and we have 64 people now. I am really grateful for all of you, your presence here. Chapter executives, thank you so much for pushing this program and getting your team, your members, everybody involved. Honorable Gabby, I'm sorry. Thank you so much also for your presence and your support. All the women, we are grateful for the men who are here. Thank you so much for being here to support us. And on those notes, we'll open the floor for discussion. So you can just like use the raise hand button and then I'll call you. So Huawei P Light, please, you have the floor. Huawei P Light, you could just...
Yes, hello. Thank you so much. My name is Nana Enyimayeo. First, I would like to thank Dr. Mary Asinyo for sharing her very personal experience on getting empowered as a woman in a male-dominated environment. I certainly identify with many of the points, practically all of the points. One on the men's role in women's empowerment, the point 6 on the 7 principles of women empowerment, that's about the community's role. My question is, what are your own experiences or thoughts on the gender role I'm talking about the predominant religions, the Christian, the Jewish, the Muslim faiths, the major faiths all seem to suggest that women play a subordinate role. I'm picking my words carefully. They play a subordinate role within the marriage context, within the family context, and even within the leadership context. And I want to know if you can share with us any experiences you've had dealing with this specific sphere of gender separation, gender equality in our society. Over.
Doc, please, are you here?
Yes, please. Do you want me to take them one after the other, or I should take 2 or 3 at a time?
How would you prefer it, please?
Okay, I can take one after the other, please.
Okay, then
Okay.
go on.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Enyumayo. So let me say that Dr. Enyumayo is one of my mentors. He was my teacher at the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons. And I have an experience which I always share. I told some of my junior colleagues at the Ghana College that, look, you have to do very well in class, because the day of the oral exams, when you are struggling, you will be helped depending on whether you were a serious student or not. And as if I was, just saying something that would happen in the future, I went to the oral exam and I was asked a very simple question. I was shaking. I couldn't remember anything. So Dr. Enyumayo was on my panel and he told the external examiner that, look, Mary is one of our good students. So I think it's just probably not a good day. And I would say that helped me to pass my exams, So Dr. Enyumayo, thank you so much, as usual, for coming to support this and always all the mentorship you give. I'm very much grateful. So the question is, what is the role of the social spheres on leadership? What is my own experience? So in terms of religion, I was just having a conversation with a colleague yesterday, and we were talking about weakness in terms of genetic composition and how men are more susceptible to diseases. But why are we described as the weaker vessels? And the Bible describes us as the weaker vessels, so it is very difficult. So you see that the gender thing is deeply rooted in culture, in tradition, in religion. And when you get to the Muslims, it's even more difficult, in terms of, so that is for gender, in terms of religion. But I also think that there are opportunities in religion, because when you look at women's fellowship in church, for instance, they are highly respected. And they are given very key assignments in church to execute. When it is time to counsel young people in the church, they call on the women. When it is time to do fundraising, they will call on the women. And when it is time to do capital projects, they call on the women. So although the Bible calls us the weaker vessels, I think maybe it is in the context so that we are protected and loved. Not in the way that we currently see it. So the church, despite seeing us as weaker vessels, they also see potentials in us and give us opportunities to lead. In terms of marriage as another social sphere, in fact, I came to realize how getting married in school helped me to climb the leadership ladder. Because if I look around, those in leadership positions who are not married, it's a whole lot of stigma, around them. So I remember that I was using my maiden name, because when I got married, I said, hey, my daddy paid my school fees in medical school, so I'm not going to change my name to another, my husband's name. I want to give glory to my father and all that. But I soon realized that, look, when you have Mrs. attached to your name, it changes the whole ballgame. You are perceived differently. So I was compelled to change my name to Dr. Mrs., my husband's name, instead of Dr., my father's name. So you see that the context of leadership, even being married in code, gives you some extra respect, compared to when you are single, which I feel is very unfortunate. So it's just society's perception of what their standard is and how you should meet those standards, which is an additional pressure for women. So I think that we also need to be looking at the social temperature within which women can, lead and bring their potentials to the table, so that we are not putting too much premium on marriage. And even my colleagues, some colleagues who we all married at the same time or married later and do not have children, theirs is even worse. And I think all those things really draw women back, because psychologically that makes you feel, you don't feel confident enough, because society does not give you that respect if you are not married or you don't have children. And that is not really what it should be. So those are really pullback factors, and we all have roles to play in improving upon them. Thank you, and over, Madam.
Thank you very much, Doc. Honorable Francisca, please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Sita, and thank you very much, Doc, for the great presentation. I'm really inspired this evening because it's not easy to be in leadership position as a female. Okay, please, my question is with regards to the data you shared during your presentation about women being more at the front line, but when it comes to the senior positions, they are just few. I would like to know, what do you think is the significant barrier to female leadership? Is it that women are not, women lack the required skills to take up those positions, or I would like to know, and do you think in your profession, do you think women have a hard time getting promoted? And my second question is, have you been in a position or a leadership position where you were treated differently than your male colleagues, being better or worse? Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you very much, Madam, for that question. Very, very interesting question, an important one. So why are women not climbing the ladder? I think a combination of factors. First is ourselves. How much do we believe in ourselves? How much of a workload do we perceive leadership? How much obstacles do we perceive to be on the leadership ladder? We feel that, oh, as for a woman, you know, you should not even go ahead of your husband. You know, you should just cook and, you know, take care of your children. And we think that because we have a lot of work at home compared to the men, it will be more difficult for us to be in a leadership role, but really not. You just need to do a good planning and management of your home and timing of what you want to do at what point. So I would say that the first thing is we ourselves, our mindset. I would say another one would be home issues. Again, it is linked to us, because how do we perceive that we can manage the home? And let me say that as a woman, don't try to be a superwoman. If you need help, get help. If you need 2 house helps, get 2 house helps. If you need 10 house helps, get 10 house helps. You don't need to be a superwoman. You just can do what you can do as a human being. You are human. So that is one key thing we have to take up. Just plan your life such that you are still able to offer what you are supposed to do at home, and you are still able to bring your contribution to the leadership table. Then beyond ourselves and the home, I think it's also society. You know, even you, your colleague women are likely to reject you. I mean, when you are given a leadership position, okay, because the perception is, oh, we are more comfortable with men, or it's men who lead, you know. So that is why men are important, because once you are given the power, you see, so that's why we are talking about empowering women, because women need to be given power to be able to operate. Okay, so I would think several factors, and that includes ourselves, the home, and society at large. But we need to begin to be moving beyond those factors. Do I think women have a high time being promoted? Yes and no. It depends on which part of the world you find yourselves. So in some parts of the world, you have a situation where you are going for the same job, actually, but a man gets to be paid more than a woman. Okay, but let's say in Ghana, we don't have those challenges. It's the same salary scale. It's based on your profession. Whether you're a man or a woman, it's the same salary. But in terms of promotion, I don't perceive that women get hard time being promoted professionally. Okay, because profession is it's laid down by policy and your achievements, extra education, etc. But when it comes to leadership, it changes the ball game altogether. So yeah, there are situations where you even see, oh, this is a woman who has more experience, who has more qualification, but they will appoint a man to lead her who is not as competent as the woman. So when it comes to leadership, then it gets tricky. And have I seen situations where I have been discriminated? Yes, a lot, plenty of them, in fact. But being aware of the terrain and what it means, I try not to let that dampen my spirit. So that's about emotional intelligence, being aware about yourself, but also about your environment and where you are working. So certainly those situations really, really exist. And I think that it's a learning process as we go through and as we get mentorship from those who have passed through the terrain. I believe that all of us will make it to the highest level as much as possible. Thank you, and over.
Thank you very much, Doc. Mr. Thompson, please, you have the floor. Ms. Apple, can you please lower your hands? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Coordinator. Doc, thank you very much for such a wonderful presentation this evening. I have 3 questions. One is, Doc, you spoke about the fact that in terms of delivering as a lady or as a woman, you have to do extra. That is what we have, we have to do. I'm a lady. So yeah, what you have to do, you have to do extra. I want to know, with your experience, what are the ways or how do you think the women can do extra than what the guys are doing? My second question is, do you think that in terms of leadership, women should be treated special because they are women? And the last question is, with your experience, when you are being criticized as a lady or as a woman, do you take it as if you are criticizing because of your position or because you are a lady? How do you take criticism at the workplace as a leader? Do you take it because guys are criticizing you because you are a woman, or because of maybe what you are not doing right as a woman in that position? Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So let me start from the last question because I find that very interesting. When a woman is criticized, do we take it as the woman is being criticized as a woman or as a professional and as a lady? I would dare to say that usually when women are being criticized, they're actually being criticized because they are women. Because you see what the woman is being criticized on. If it is a man who does the same thing, nobody really says anything. So I personally feel that most of the time women are being criticized because men think they have the power to criticize them, or because they think they don't have a voice, but less of the time it is because of their performance as leaders or as professionals. But that is my own personal impression. Okay, the next one is, should women be treated specially because they are women? No, women should be treated specially because the society is not designed to support them by default. That is the whole argument for gender empowerment, women empowerment. You see, by default, the society is structured to favor men. If a man is in a position and not performing, nobody really talks about it. But if it's a woman, people will begin to talk about it. So you see, when you go for an interview, one is a man, one is a woman. The panel is even more likely to say, oh, the man can work harder than the woman will be pregnant, cannot manage children, so many things. So you realize that society is already structured to favor the men. So the women in this context, they are marginalized and the least favored or the vulnerable ones. And that is why we have to give them opportunities and empower them, not just because they are women, but because they are a marginalized group and they are a vulnerable group. And because the systems already favor men, men don't have to struggle to get the same opportunities that women have to get. So that is the argument for, it's not just because we are women. No, it's because we are human beings and yet we are being discriminated against and not given the same opportunities. That's the debate for women empowerment. And I want us to all see it this way, that you see, whatever discrimination the women you work with at the workplace go through, that is the same environment we are setting for the bigger society. And beyond the woman you are working with in your office, your children can be women, your grandchildren can be women, your wife, your mother. So you realize that actually we are not talking about just the women in your workplace, but the bigger picture for all women, so that they can also bring their cake to the table. Because if we have a majority of people in the workplace being women, and we are not creating the environment where they can build on opportunities to also contribute to, nation building, it means we're actually losing a lot of our human resources. So that is the argument. The first one is that how should women work harder to get recognized? So what it is that, let's say if you have two directors, one is a man, one is a woman, nobody really puts a target on the man and to check whether he's performing or not. They assume that men perform. But when it's a woman, every target, every eye surveillance is on the woman to see whether she's performing or not. So how can women do that? I do that by making sure I meet my targets, and even go beyond the targets I have been given, to be innovative and entrepreneurial, to be generative, bring ideas to the table so that people can see your contribution. And then working with others as much as possible, building others also as much as possible. So I think that is the whole point of making sure you are meeting your targets, you are contributing professionally, and you have evidence to show for it. Okay, so people are always saying, what shows that if we have more women, we will perform? So studies have shown that with every 10% increase in diversity, you'll get 3.4 more output, and that is huge. So I think that as we meet our KPIs, we are able to show people that, yes, we are also capable of doing a good job. I hope I have tried to address your 3-in-1, your Holy Trinity questions. Thank you, and over to you,
Yes,
Mami.
yes, Doc, that's great. God bless you.
Great. God bless you too.
Thank you very much. Mr. Nikwe, please.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, please, you can hear.
Okay. I really appreciate Our Lady, and I'm really proud of you to start with, to see, because this issue for me, sometimes I take it from a different perspective. That before I continue, I think this woman empowerment thing is making our ladies look like dada bees, and their heads are sweetening them, and they are not trying hard to explain. I think this issue is both implicit and explicit. Implicit because in the olden days, it became a norm, it's become a tradition. The ladies were not moving up, so they were not seeing them, and then all you have said now applied. But now it is explicit that we are encouraging our women. We are pushing them. Look at the effort you are making. But Doc, our ladies personally are not moving up. In this NUGS environment, we don't see them coming. Although you go and push them, they give us a whole lot of excuses. Now, let me come practically. In China here, I work within the education realm here. So most leaders in the educational institutions are women, because the women here are trying. But I think back home, or Africa, or to be specifically Ghana, our ladies are not really pushing themselves up, although you guys are trying your best, advocating for them. They settle too easily, and how do you call it? Now, some of the issues that come up, I learned from Mrs. Obama. She said her ability to grow higher was because she created a support team for herself, and then the women supported each other. That is what gave her time to manage her family and then manage work. But I think our ladies do not do that. I will encourage our women, when they get to the workplace, look, the men will heckle you. We know your weak point, we'll bring it. But one thing that makes ladies stand firm, like you have said, make men your friend, engage them, go out with them, and study them gradually. You realize that, look, they are more vulnerable than even men. But because the ladies don't associate themselves with men, and there's always a competition, you realize that a simple issue that needs to be handled, how do you call it, logically, you realize that it goes emotionally, and then things go haywire. To come to a very quick one, when it comes to, how do you call it, promotions and things, I believe what you have said is very right. I fully respect everything you're saying, but I think sometimes the bosses me, I want to be, so I associate myself with a few of them. They look at, how do you call it, control, emotional and social skills. So sometimes they go beyond qualification, but they realize that, look, if I put this in this person's hand, does she have the ability to be, how do you call it, explicit in making decision? That in the environment of all these men, can she be able to marvel when the men heckle him? She will not look at it like, oh, they are seeing me as a woman, but then she will stand back, analyze what the men are doing, and then, how do you call it, give a fair judgment. So in a nutshell, I'll say that our women, we support you, but we want to see you, because in this group, there have been so many programs, but you realize the men are even asking questions for women. The men are asking questions for women. Please, we love you, our ladies, but then it is time for you to come. I'm a husband, and my wife comes up with so many, how do you call it, challenges from work. Sometimes, as a supportive husband, I take the same problem and how she handled it at work, and then I put myself in the boss's shoe, give a scenario, and then explain it. You realize that she is able to see it from, oh, okay, it could have been done better. This is what we are expecting our ladies to say. We don't see them as weaker vessels, but then we expect them to have just a little bit of that analogical analysis, so that together we'll be able to go. So thank you very much. We are all rooting for our ladies. We want to see them. And the proud lady, let me mention the name, a lady here like Francisca. She's been doing a great job. We need more of our Franciscas here, our former Secretary General, you see, so that we can work with. Thank you very much for my little submission.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Nikwe. That is a very good feedback. Sorry, Mami, for cutting you. I thought I could come in. Forgive me. Okay, great. Okay, good. So, Mr. Nikwe, those are very insightful reflections as a man to the contribution, and I really, really appreciate it. And your observation that the ladies are not moving up. I think that over the years, it is the narrative that we have created for the women, and the way the women have come to perceive how conducive the environment is for them to think leadership. Because it is not that they are not coming into the workforce, they are coming into the workforce, and now they are outnumbering, the men at the workplace. But why are they not taking leadership roles? I think it is the narrative. So you see a lot, and it's not because they cannot deliver, because look, most organizations, a lot of the work is done at the bottom of the organization, because that is the day-to-day operational level of the organization, and it is being led by women. So there's no doubt about whether women can perform. It is they are moving up the scale. And I think that society, we can also begin to be thinking about systems that will enable women to find life more comfortable as they play both their traditional roles and the roles at the workplace. When I was a medical superintendent, I realizing that most of my nurses were young and they were either pregnant or breastfeeding. What I did was to develop or designate a room that was for breastfeeding with baby cots. And we always will place one nurse there, because a nurse has the eye to realize if the baby has a problem or not. So you go there, breastfeed your child, and come back to work. And that is a lot of support. We are talking about maternity leaves, but how many months is it? It is 3 months. By the time you are even doing your 3rd month, your baby is still very small, for you to come back to work. So you see how the experience at the 37 military hospital, where I would have the opportunity to close at 1 p.m. until my child is a year old and can go to school. You see how that policy alone was trying to drive me back from the Volta region to 37 military hospital. So I think that if we look at the policies and the support systems that we can actually put at the workplace, it will make life easier for women to have the confidence to climb up. Because sometimes young people are just overburdened with having to take care of children. It's really a lot of work. I know the men support a lot, but for bringing up children or all those motherly roles, working alongside is really a lot of work. So we need to begin to think systems to promote women in the workplace. That's my contribution. Thank you so very much for your reflections.
Thank you very much. There's a question in the chat box from Dari. He's asking, he says, I think I would like to know what measures Ghanaian women are putting in place to the implementation of the affirmative action bill in Ghana.
Wow, that is, let me say that my professional self, I would prefer that somebody from Ministry of Gender is able to, respond to this particular question, because I don't work in the political space. And so I'm not able to say exactly what has been done to promote the affirmation bill. But I remember it's been in and out of parliament, and it at a point became a political mantra for one political party that said that if they are voted into power, they will make sure that women have, is it a 60-40 representation? But as we speak, we still have very low numbers for women representation in Ghana. So I would say that please pardon me to skip that question. When I was preparing for this presentation, I realized that even with the parliamentary candidates, we are talking about 40 MPs out of 275 who are women. And that translates to, I think, less than 20%. And so it means that even with the many promises we made for affirmative action, we really haven't even made intentional efforts to make sure that women are represented. So that is what I would say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doc. Mr. Dade, please, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Doc, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate your presence. Please, I would like to know, you said something during your presentation that women should choose their mentors carefully. Could you please throw more light on that so that our ladies will know what to expect when they are choosing their mentors? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So my personal experience with mentors is that sometimes you meet people and you are inspired by them. You want to move up the ladder like them. So you take them up as mentors. Sometimes they want to take you as mentors. You have the opportunity to say yes, or they want to take you up as mentees. You have the opportunity to say yes or no. What I have realized is that people's values can be very different. So if you have a mentor whose value is, let me give an example, whose value is money before work, you are not likely to have any sustainable leadership career having that person as a mentor. So I would say that I am very, very careful choosing mentors, depending on what values these mentors have as individuals, beyond being maybe your boss at the workplace or being a leader in your organization. As individuals, what are the values of these mentors? Because as they mentor you, they are actually inspiring or breathing into you their values. They're actually training you to follow their footsteps. So you're actually going to grow gradually into who they are, kind of. So it is very important to you to know what your values are, what you want to achieve as a woman leader, what you stand for, what you do not stand for, what your values are, what your values are not, and then be able to decide who should mentor you and who should not mentor you. It is not everyone who wants to mentor you that you should accept, because sometimes the mentor also has their own interest. So it's not everyone who wants to mentor you that you should accept. You should look at all those value systems, their direction, what they stand for, because that also brands you. I know that when you begin to come into the corporate world, some of these might sound a little theory, but I believe as you begin to move into the corporate world, they become a little more clearer, because your mentors also brand you. So you should be careful whose brand you are tying to your cloth, as a woman leader. That's the perspective I take it from. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Doc. Mami, sorry. Mami, do you still want to talk, or It's okay. Mami?
No, please, it's okay. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thompson, you're back again. Okay, you have 30 seconds. Go.
Okay. Doc, sorry, I'm back again. I want to give you this scenario, then you see how best you can analyze it, right? Looking at most of the volunteer institutions like ours here, where you are not paid for what you do, right? However, we are being expected to check up on members, to know how they are doing. Being a lady on that edge or on that in that position, right? I mean, most ladies that are spoken to that are in that position, they often be like, you know, these guys, maybe if you talk to them and they start proposing to you and they start talking about love and blah, 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 blah. Should that be your limitation for not checking up on your people? And if no, how are the ways can a lady go on with her duties with these challenges?
So I see that your question is two in one. First is the bit that because you are not paid for, it becomes difficult to actually get the job done. But I would usually look at what I can get from even that unpaid position. Is the fact that you can write it on your CV. And when there's a bigger leadership position, you say, hey, I've been a leader of this association with a human resource workforce of over so and so numbers. You know, that is a big deal. So you remember I said that sometimes look at what is in it for you beyond money. Some of these things are investments. You know, I remember when I was doing volunteerism in the prisons for over 500 prison inmates. In fact, with time, I got something more than money, because when I entered, they will start singing, they'll compose songs for me. They tell me I'm the most beautiful woman. You know, it was so nice, you know, just being with them and working and giving, feeling that you are giving them, you know, something to humanity. But I realized that along the line, I used that to get one of my global awards, because they are looking at what is your contribution to marginalized, vulnerable people and humanity. So sometimes just forget about, you know, I don't think it's so expensive. You can use your own money to just call people, check on them, but look at what is in it for you beyond that one. It's a bigger opportunity you can bid for with that experience on your CV. Now, the second part is one of my biggest challenges working as a woman in leadership: sexual harassment from men, you know. And when we say sexual harassment, we are not talking about rape. Okay, harassment is simply the fact that you are pushing, making advances, and I keep telling you, look, I'm not interested. And you keep, you know, pushing. And it gets to a point where it's like quid pro quo. Okay, if you don't bring this, you are not getting. I said, take it, it's government work. I'm not going to sacrifice anything personal for it. It's not an individual organization. It's a government organization. You know, so you don't really have to kill yourself because of what those men do. What I do is to keep my interaction as formal as possible. Make sure that as a woman, you dress well. I like high neck, you know, level clothing because of my experience with these men. I just like to dress, cover up. You know, this my DP is one of the DPs that you actually see the bottom of my neck showing. Usually I'm dressed, cover up. And my conversation, I'm using formal words as much as possible. So I'll address you as sir, you know, please, thank you, as formal and professional as possible. And it sends your intention very clear, what you stand for and what you don't stand for. And for me, I think women feel good when men feel that they are beautiful. Is that not it? So it's a normal part of life, but it shouldn't get to a point where it actually becomes a bargaining chip for somebody to give you an opportunity. They say, hey, you must do this, but that one you can take it, I don't care. There comes a point where you meet, you see, there are men who open doors for you without asking you for anything. You know, and I have such men in my life. I always mention their name. Dr. Nyimayo is on the call to support. Professor Binka. These are people who have opened doors for me. They've never asked me for anything. So, and look, the men who get those opportunities, who asks them for anything? Nobody asks them for anything. So why must the woman give something to get the same opportunity? is wrong. So ladies, that should not deter you. It is something you're actually going to live with for the rest of your life. So far as you are a woman and you are beautiful, the men will keep looking at you. It's a very natural phenomenon. You should handle it as official and formal and diplomatic as much as possible, and keep your eyes on the goal. That's what I would say. Thank you, and over.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thompson. No last question. We are done. We are done.
That's the last one.
Doc, please, you want to take a last question?
Since we want to support the men, let's take it. Otherwise, they'll start doing men empowerment.
Okay, we're men.
Oh, because of that, I also want to have the last one.
Thompson and Fellow, why?
All right, Doug, aside promotion, right? I believe all that you are sharing with us, I don't know if you kept some notice during your journey throughout. My question is, how do we, this one I'm not sure is only to the women, how do we measure our growth as leaders with our journey that we are, I mean, when we start our corporate journey, how do we trace our growth aside promotion? I mean, if I say our growth, our personal growth, like maybe our leadership growth and other stuff, do we have to maybe write whatever experience we go through or the decisions that we take that works and doesn't work? How do we trace them so that you will know that one day we will know that, oh, we did this and it worked this way?
Okay, thank you very much, Thompson. I would make an attempt at that because that question, I think from the way I hear it and I understand, it could be a whole research question that could write a paper out of. So beside promotion, human resource management, the organization expects us to work hard, contribute to indicators to improve and all that. But we also have, when we come to an organization, we also have expectations. So beside the promotion, I think we are also looking at ourselves as professionals, opportunities to do some professional courses. So if I came to an organization as a BSc holder, if I had the opportunity to do a master's and a PhD, I would see it as growth. Even if it is not tied with some promotion to a high level leadership or otherwise, I would still see it as growth as an individual and as a professional. So beyond the promotions, we would also look at growth as a profession. Beyond growth as a profession and promotion, I would also look at contribution to the organization. So what have I been able to contribute? How have I changed the organization where I work? That for me is so much consoling, and also contribution to humanity beyond the organization, because contribution to humanity is, for me, the most important thing at the end of the day. If you wake up every day and you go to work, it's because you want to improve humanity every day. So if you are not achieving that, you're actually wasting your many years of existence on the earth. So I would feel that that is one key thing. How have I contributed? So you can be in an organization and work so hard, reducing, let me use health as an example, because that is more handy for me. You are reducing maternal mortality in institutions. You are making sure that people with hypertension and other non-communicable diseases are getting the best of care. You are contributing to humanity, and that should make you happy. Even if it is not recognized at that point to give you promotion or a leadership up the ladder, that is a lot of leadership and achievement in your life. And then people can also measure their, achievements by other social factors. But because we are talking about the workplace, I'll leave those ones, because those ones also depend on people's culture, tradition, mindset, what they want to achieve in life. So those ones are kind of individualized. But I think beyond promotions, you can look at your contribution to the organization and to humanity, and as your growth as a professional. Because if you move out of that organization, you should be useful for another organization to also, give you even a much better opportunity. So that is how I'll look at it. I hope I have attempted to answer your doctoral research question. Thank you, and over.
Thank you very much. Our very last question. Very last question. The ladies are not asking questions. The men have taken over anyway. Mr. Dade, please, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you so much. This one is gonna be a bit personal in a way. Doc, you've mentioned a lot of men who actually help you throughout your journey, your career progression. But I didn't really hear you highlight the role that your husband played in this journey. Would you mind sharing that with us? How he also helped in your journey? Thank you.
So you see the men, even when the women are chalking some glory, the men still want to share the glory, you know. And I try not to talk about husband and all that, because I have seen that from my personal experience, it is one of the things that keep women back. You know, the fact that they are not married or they don't have children, that alone is a whole social burden. So I try not to bring that rule, but certainly our partners play a key role in our lives, just like we also play key roles in their lives. It's not a one directional, relationship. You know, the men like to take credit once we are doing well. And where they go everywhere, they want to introduce themselves as, oh, this is my wife. But then it's a two-directional support. So if you have a spouse who supports you in terms of taking care of the kids, whilst you are away, they take care of the kids. Whilst they are away, you take care of the kids. And you are able to share the house chores and do them so that you are not overburdened. I think that is a great idea. But if you're a woman listening to me and you don't have a husband, please don't worry yourself. Like my father always tells me, it's not everybody who is supposed to get married. My own husband's sisters, one is a Catholic sister. She's never been married and she's very happy with her life. So yes, I appreciate the support from my husband in my journey. At least I had my kids very early in life, and they have grown, and now I don't have to take care of younger kids. And, you know, I have all the time to dedicate to my work. Yeah, so that is much appreciated. But men, stop taking the glory, and the small glory we have to take, you want to share it with us. It's all fun. Thank you, and over.
Okay. Thank you very much. I have one very last question. It was just sent to me. The question is, if you love your boss or your competitor at the workplace is a woman, how do you go about it?
Hey, if you love your boss, is your boss a man?
Hey, the same questions repeated. Yes, your boss is a man.
Hey, okay. So this is my personal opinion on this matter. I do not think you should go to the workplace with the mind that you want to fall in love with your boss. You know, that is one of the things that can bring you down as a woman. But, you know, you never know where you find love. If you are really sure that this is love that is going to take you like love forever, why not go for it? But I honestly, by principle, I do not date a man in where I work. I don't do that. You see, because that is one of the things that can strip you of your confidence and your everything. Don't. Because for me, when I go to a meeting and I take the mic, I talk because I'm not afraid of what somebody will say around me. But once you begin to date men around you, I mean, you start talking and they talk, you keep quiet. You see, you don't have a voice anymore. So for me, my personal principle is, okay, maybe also because I married early. But again, my husband is a medical doctor too. And I met him, you know, in the hospital. So like I said, you can find love anywhere you can ever predict. It could be at your workplace, but you have to be sure what you're actually bargaining for. It's not one of those, you know, office, this one, let me do it, girls. It's not one of those office fun you want to have and then you jump. No, please. You have a long way ahead of you to go. And if you start on that track, you are doomed, trust me. So just make up your mind that in the workplace, you are not dating anyone, and don't have the mind to even look at your boss in a different way. It's just your boss to work with you, nothing else. The men actually respect you when you are like that. you know, but if you are just flowing around and all that, no, when they meet, they talk about you, especially when they are drunk. So please do not. That's my principle. And my friends and I have a way we say it in slang. We say, don't shit where you eat, because you eat the shit, you know, like that's how we say it in slang, in local slang English. But just to send the import of why I do not endorse that policy. But we are all different individuals. So this one, I'll leave it to you. If you are in love with your boss, please decouple that love. It won't take you anywhere unless you are sure your boss really loves you and he's available for proper love, not the one that after a few months or a couple of years, you are nothing before the decimal point. You'll be depressed forever. Thank you. And over. Mommy, you are laughing. That's why I said this is girls. Now I'm talking to my sisters. Let me be straight to the point. Thank you.
I like that. You don't eat where you shit, or else you eat your shit. Okay.
Exactly.
Got that. All right, thank you so much, Doc, for your time, your effort, everything. Thank you so much. So we have a little presentation for you, like a small gift or a token. So I'll invite Miss Isha to present your presentation.
Whoa, I'm blushing now.
Mr. Eselo, please, can you? Oh, thank you.
Hello. Please, can I be heard?
Yes, please, you can be heard.
Yes, continue.
Wow. Thank you so much, Doug, for this mind-blowing presentation. To show our appreciation and how grateful we are for your time, we want to present this citation of honor to you. And it reads, National Union of Ghana Students, China, citation of honor presented to Dr. Mrs. Mary Aram Asinyo. The National Union of Ghana Students, China, sincerely thank you for availing yourself to educate the entire membership of the union during our Women Empowerment Conference themed Breaking Barriers, Shining a Light, held on 12 March 2022. The event would not have been a success without your support. We deeply appreciate the in-depth knowledge you shared and the willingness you exhibited in making our program successful. Thank you.
Wow. This is really mind-blowing. It's really beautiful, trust me. And I can't wait to print it and laminate it and put it in my office. It's really beautiful. I'm very thankful to you. I have enjoyed my time having this conversation with you. I have also learned a lot from you. I thank you for the opportunity. I'm so grateful. Thank you for your thoughtfulness. Thank you so very much. I wish there was a bigger word than thank you, but thank you.
There is a bigger word. We would have used it because, I mean, we've learned so much. We've taken much from you. We've drawn a lot. So I think if it was a bigger word, we should rather give to you. On this note, we'll take our closing remarks from our national president, Miss Irene Coco. Please, are you here? Oh, wonderful. President, please, we want to see your face. President. President. What's happening? Hi, President, please, are you there? DJ, can you give us a short interlude whilst I check with Prez?
Yeah. Hello.
Oh.
President is speaking, just that we were not hearing her. And so I've called her. She's talking now. So yeah, let's listen.
Okay. Sorry, everyone. I think where I am currently, the network is not good enough. Okay. So, Doctor, listen to the presentation, and I don't know the word to use to describe how I feel right now. I feel so satisfied with what to be a dinner that we had this evening. Thank you so much for your time. First of all, welcome and your team. I really appreciate the fact that you organize a program like this, and I hope this conversation can continue time to time. We really need this as a group of women to encourage us and keep us on track. And while listening to our speaker, she made a point that I really do agree with her. The fact that at one point in time, you will feel the gender when you are a student or in leadership, and that's very true. And hey, my ladies, we got this. And as Doctor said, we should make it a habit to read our Bible, regardless. To read our Bible, break the bones, and shine the light where we find ourselves. Okay, so please, let's take good care of ourselves and keep good health. Remember, we have to think win-win and be proactive and innovative. And let's make the men see us the way they see themselves. I wish you well. I hope that next time our speaker will have time with us like this. Thank you so much, MC. I really love the way you coordinated the whole program. I really love everything tonight. Thank you for giving the opportunity. Over.
Okay. By Dr.
Word over to
yeah,
you.
by Dr. Aram. Okay. MC, over.
Okay, thank you very much, Prez. Thank you very much, Nana, for being our mediator. So on this note, we have come to the end of today's conference. I hope we are empowered as women, especially we being students. We are yet to go in, some of us are yet to go into the workforce. Some of us are already in the workforce, but